What's with the extension? Like, we're all waiting for hell to let loose on those who haven't complied so far. Now we get a holiday. What's going on?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think that we were ready to do anything anyway. So it was inevitable that the extension was going to be granted. I was surprised that it took so long. That's about 2 weeks before we said yes to it. So there are a lot of things to consider. One is, what were the targets when we started out with this? And how far have we gone? We wanted to increase the number of people in the tax net, both individuals and companies. We wanted to raise the tax to GDP ratio, even though that will not happen overnight. But there was a target of about $1 billion. That's about 305 billion if you use the government rate. Altogether, federal government, all the states, is under 30 billion. That's less than 10%. And if you think about it as well, the number of people they brought in, they really haven't brought in any significant number, especially of ultra-high net worth individuals. So what happened was we spent about 6 to 7 months just talking to ourselves, and that would be government and professionals, not really the taxpayers. Towards the end of the scheme, the VAIDS office started sending out letters to high net worth individuals, top executives, and that was when people started asking questions. What is this thing they're talking about? Actually, they wrote to me. Someone said they wrote to me and they said I have a property in Dubai, and actually they were right. Now, they now didn't give them enough time from when they got those letters to remediate. There's still people who are hesitant whether they should do anything at all, by the way. The unexplained wet order in the UK also helped. So the international community is also putting pressure in a way. But if you look at it fundamentally, we did not prepare sufficiently well for the amnesty scheme. Many of the tax authorities who needed to do one thing or the other, even as we speak, haven't done so. So I don't know. It's good that we have the extension, but whether we're really ready and whether it will make any significant difference, I do not know.
Talking about the fact that we're not ready, let's just bring up, the statement from the presidency on why this extension really took place. Now, the short extension after the original March 31st date is based on the appeals of professional bodies and individual taxpayers. Now, the statement also says a fresh executive order will be made to give legal backing to the new timeline. Now, President Buhari has further urged tax authorities to use the extension window to perfect plans to prosecute those who fail to regularize their tax status. Bismarck, what do you make of these reasons? I mean, so far, listening to also what Taiwo has mentioned earlier, what are your concerns?
Well, the longest journey in the world starts with the first step. I think that's the whole idea. The determination to start this process is good. But having said that, again, like everything in Nigeria, we are a dollar short, an hour late. We never get prepared for anything. So we got started, and the 90 days we are talking about to get ready to prosecute people is not the issue. It is to ensure that compliance rate improves. There are people that the objectives that were set in the first place to get more people into the net, to make sure that there's compliance, there's explanation, there's communication. And more important is that to ensure that the trust deficit between the people, the governed and the governing, is reduced, because people are not willing to pay or not encouraged to pay because there's a trust deficit and they think there's no moral justification. If on one hand, all we're talking about is looters list and looters list and looters list, you want me to put more money in the looters' hands? So there's that contradiction. Now, the president, with all due respect, saying that get ready to prosecute people in 90 days, again, that's not a proper...
I don't think he was going to bring, Taiwo in here, talk about that particular, move. Now, how prepared is the government really to go after those who will not comply at the end of the day? Do we even have the documents to back up whatever claims that might come up after? How thorough, have the investigations carried out so far been?
I wish I can say we're ready, but we're not. And I'll tell you why. So at the center, which is driven by the Ministry of Finance, there's a lot of intelligence they've been able to collect, both within and from outside Nigeria. But here's the issue. Do we have the capacity to use the data? And do we have the internal coordination within Nigeria? The answer is no. So I got a letter from VAIDS office, interestingly, saying that I haven't paid the right amount of taxes based on the intelligence that they got about me. And they were 100% wrong. What happened was, and that's what they did for everyone, you got one leg of the information that says you registered a new vehicle you just bought, land registry, you got a property from BVN, you have this amount in your account. but they do not have the data from the states about the taxes people have paid. So they are unable to balance it. So the fact that I'm worth 10 million naira does not mean I'm a defaulter unless you speak to Lagos State where I'm tax resident. Now, if you go out and you do a name and shame and you get it wrong, you're going to spend the rest of this regime in court going back and forth. There's really no point starting that. So we can only also build capacity to tackle evaders if you limit that population to a number you can manage. Not when you still have millions of people who haven't responded to VAIDS. You can't tackle them. So we need to find, and the trust deficit issue is very germane. We need to demonstrate to people, first by reporting what we have done. Nobody knows how much has been collected precisely, by who, from who, and what purpose are they being applied to. If you start with that reporting and transparency, maybe we start building that trust, and then this can gain some traction.